It should not have taken this year's record deaths for the First Minister to step up and take the lead on drug use. We have had record numbers of deaths for years, and I'm particularly angry about how this has developed. When I first joined this Parliament, I raised this issue repeatedly with her predecessor and then with her, and offered solutions. And the truth is this: for a decade, while drug deaths were on the rise, the response from this government was to cut the funds for drug rehabilitation. And I think the First Minister knows that that was a reckless decision. The First Minister says she has not pointed to any other government or any power that she wants for this Parliament today. But our Public Health Minister has been doing that all this week. We now need real leadership. It's a huge responsibility. We need a minister who is able to drive change. And whatever his talents, Joe Fitzpatrick is not that person. Once again, will the First Minister appoint a new drugs minister?
First Minister.
I'm going to work with the Drugs Minister to make sure we collectively accept this responsibility and take the actions that are required to fix the problem. The issues about where powers lie is not irrelevant. The reason I have not today focused on that is because I think it is right and proper that I stand here today and don't try to defend a position that is indefensible. Instead, accept candidly that we have not done enough and that we have to, although there is serious work underway, we have to ask ourselves whether that is enough and whether that is going fast enough. And I am not going to shy away from that, and I'm not going to try to defend things that I don't think I should stand here and do. But there are issues about, particularly around safe consumption rooms, about where power lies and whether, if power doesn't lie here, we have the ability to work together with the UK Government to resolve some of these issues. These issues won't go away, and we will continue to take these forward. But I will continue to lead. I will lead the efforts of the Government on this over the period ahead, but I will do that with the Drugs Minister and with the Government as a whole. This is our responsibility. I'm not going to shy away from that today. Instead, I'm going to make sure that we put in place the plans to fix this for the sake of those who have lost their lives and their families who grieve those lost lives, but also for the sake of those whose lives we can save. Every single one of these lives matters, and that's the most important thing for all of us.
Willie Rennie.
I just wish she had taken that determined approach 13 years ago when she first became First Minister. But I want to follow up on schools. Yesterday, the First Minister tightened advice for Christmas, but is still opting for many schools to stay open until Christmas Eve. Teachers aren't on the vaccination list. They aren't on the routine testing list. Those who were on the shielding list are told to keep on working in school. Teachers are feeling forgotten. I understand the need for pupils not to miss out on yet more education. But the fact is that little useful learning is going to take place in schools next week. And if there is, then it can be switched online because we're ready for that. We should be able to make arrangements for childcare just like before. Spreading the virus in schools next week could spread the virus to vulnerable relatives at Christmas. So will the First Minister think again and close schools next week?
First Minister.
Back in the summer, or as we came out of the summer, I recall questions from Willie Rennie that were actually berating me for taking decisions leaving parents without childcare. Now, these decisions have to be taken in the round. When it comes to schools, the most important thing is the education of young people. And given that our young people have had a term out of school this year, I think as far as is possible, Our objective and our priority should be to have children in school for the remainder of the term and have them in school again as they go back after the Christmas period. I think that is important. That does not mean teachers are forgotten or we do not listen to the concerns that teachers have. It is because we listen to those concerns and want to address them that Public Health Scotland has done a lot of analysis in terms of the impact of COVID both on teachers in our schools and on pupils in our schools. The latest of that was published yesterday, and it's why we continue to liaise with teachers. The Deputy First Minister chairs the Education Recovery Group, which teachers are represented on. We will put public health first at every single stage of this. And of course, the Advisory Group Subcommittee on Education gives us that public health advice, which allows us right now to make the judgment that it is better for young people to be in school than out of school. But we will continue to make sure that we monitor that carefully. We are in a period again when COVID cases are rising, so that cautious and precautionary approach will continue to guide all that we do. But I think we should have as our priority the maintenance of full-time in-school education. And if that means adults, the rest of us having to make more sacrifices and have more restrictions, then I think that is a price we should all be willing to pay.